I want to thank you, Jimmy, for making the effort.
Oh, yeah.
Until your arrival, Rudy was thinking that this meeting was going to be a meeting of sick national birds.
It is, because you're here.
Illegal.
Illegal.
That's what he said.
Well, we're legal now.
Thank you,
Now we're
Mr. Dodson. Interesting. I'm gonna give you good publicity tomorrow morning.
Okay, thank you.
I was thanking you for that. Right? Healthy stuff.
Do you want a complete?
Yes, we would like a complete one. Is this not complete?
That's
Complete, yeah, I would like one.
It's still draft, but it's.
Yep.
Just as a little cover before we turn the floor over to Sue. Karen gave me a letter written by John M. Gray, written to both myself and to Franco Rossi in support of our support of the Mount Washington Regional Airport. And I also received a letter directly to me from Rotobank, basically in the same vein. So I'm just mentioning that at some point in time we'll reconsider that discussion from last year, but at the time my opinion was and continues to be that even though we realize that there needs to be some broader support for it that would benefit everybody, that that obviously having that resource in the area is significant to us. So anyway, okay, thank you.
So the first page we're really looking at in the one that I just gave you, which is complete, page 40 or 42, which is the Opera House. This is one I gave you last week. We didn't get through the Opera House or the executive, so we're gonna try to cover those.
What page is our?
It's page 40 or 42, very close to the end.
Yes.
The Opera House. And this is called a special revenue fund. This is not a revolving fund. So the Opera House revenues for the 2020 default are the same as what they were in 2019. The Opera House expenditures in the default that have a difference of $895. That is a little bit of an increase in the wages that we had given the employees back last April. There's no other changes to this default budget. The increase is 0.93% over last year's budget. The 2020 proposed has adjustments within the revenue. We have not finished the other offices, so we cannot rent them out until we get them done. Part of it is the requirements that are needed to finish that area. Yes. The revenues for the rental from the users, we are pushing for a little bit of an increase there, and the increase in usage. We've added a line for grant funds. We had miscellaneous revenue. We've been receiving some grant funds here and there, but we need to have a line in there for the revenues. Under Opera House Management, under expenditures, we do have the 3% increase for all of the non-union employees, and all of these employees are non-union. We are proposing to increase the receptionist from 16 hours to 20 hours a week. And we have a slight average hours for the janitor of 22 hours per week. We ranged it last year from 20 to 25. The average over the year has been right around 22. There's an increase in cost in the communications and phone and internet. There is a reduction in the workers' compensation based on different categories. We have property liability insurance increase of 3%. Under building maintenance, we do have some increases. The first one is the phone lines for the alarm system. Those have to be monitored and maintained and we have had some problems with them.
That's
Yeah,
fire
I've been-
alarm? The
Yes.
fire alarm, yeah.
So for those who don't know me, I think I know everyone.
Yeah, sorry.
That's okay. I'm Sue Pilot, and I'm the manager of the Opera House. And just to talk a little bit about the fire alarm, over the course of the last 4 months, unfortunately, there are 3 different contracted parties who are involved with that fire alarm. We have Spectrum, who owns the lines coming into the building from the street, and then we have First Light, who dispatches to Grafton, from the panel, and then we also have Capital Alarm. So my issue is that every single one of them, when I contacted them about the communication fault alarm, which means there was an issue with the phone line, every one of them said it wasn't their problem. So I kept insisting that they each come in and look at it. So they still said, nope, everything of ours is good. And I said, well, it does not make sense why this fault alarm, and I understood what the fault alarm was. It was a communication line that goes directly to dispatch for trouble, not for fire or smoke or anything like that, but just their signal, that they run a daily signal. And so finally I called Corey's, because I was just at a loss. I'm like, all right, let's see if I could get somebody to come in. So he came in and he said for some unknown reason, someone had somehow a phone line downstairs to the First Light box, even though they had looked at it before, was not hooked up properly. So we thought all was great in the last 3 weeks, and then the alarm went off yesterday for the same thing. So I'm kind of right now struggling on what to do with that. I really would like to remove one of the contracted parties that are involved in this and kind of get it to just 2 instead of 3 different people. So if I have an issue, I know who to go to. So that's the fire alarm
Sure
problem.
it's not Betty Davis?
It could be, it could be.
So under town building repairs, maintenance, we've been budgeting 5,000. We want to increase that to 7,500. There continues to be added things that need to be cleaned up, be taken care of, be replaced, be repaired in this building. It's an old building,
And I think that one of the issues here is that when it was not under town management, maybe things weren't looked at as closely, I'm not sure. I mean, Chad, you were here with the chamber, but I think that under town management, we're seeing more of what the issues are, and we have the town involved, which has made a big difference in the operation of the Opera House. So we're finding things that maybe should have been repaired before, or should have been taken care of, you know, cold air leaks, things like that, that are simple fixes. So, but they do cost money. So I think that all of the increase that we're doing is just repairing things that should have been repaired in the past, and we're trying to take care of that and keep the building up to the standards that we all want.
So what kind of additional things? I mean, I know we voted in, there was a warrant article to, I think it was to some energy, like an audit of the downstairs,
Yeah.
and then 10 grand.
Yeah,
years
and
ago.
Peter Cooper has been involved with that.
Energy conservation.
Yeah, and we've been working with Myers Company, and for insulation, the attic has been insulated. A lot of that, we're still working for the stained glass update, which will create more insulation for the cold air leaks. So that's still a work in progress on that end. But a lot of it's been completed. We were at a stop because of, in the basement, the historical preservation for the historical, because of our easement, would not allow them to do what they wanted to do in the basement for energy efficient. So and that could come into play with what else we're thinking of for the Cottage Street level. But, I mean, those are things that we can't control right now because of the easement. But I think we're doing everything that we can to keep the energy efficiency in here. We just replaced all the bulbs in the chandelier. We have, I don't know if you've been in the Grand Hall and really looked at that chandelier, but we finally got it repaired. You know, Dan, you've been involved with that, with the chain and it wasn't safe. Yep.
We come along. right?
Yep, yep, so we finally got that all done, so that's one issue that I've been worrying about, is just the safety of that chandelier, so at the same time, pardon?
Save some money with
Yes,
engineering.
yes,
locally.
yep, oh, and that's the other thing, you know, if I can speak of that, I don't want to keep jumping around, but, okay, so Doug Damko, the Public Works Director, I am just thrilled with Doug. He has helped me tremendously at the Opera House. He has the knowledge, he has the background of what the town really needed from my, as a taxpayer as well, because I'm not an engineer. I think I have good vision, and I think that I'm a good marketer, and but the things that need to be done here for rigging, sound, certain things are out of my spectrum of knowledge. So he's been a tremendous help to me. He helped, we got the Public Works here to help. I mean, that's been another great thing. You know, I only have a part-time staff here, and our custodian is not able to lift and do a lot of things that you know, I need to have done. So he's, you know, been very helpful with me getting the highway department guys to come up when my curtains are dropping. You know, they're hitting the floor because the ropes need to be replaced. I can't, if you have ever gone out and tried to, have you, Dan, ever tried to pull those curtains up? It takes about 3 men to do that. So I'm very fortunate with Doug's experience and his engineering. We have many meetings to talk about the Opera House, and he's been wonderful. He's taken a really big load off my shoulders as a manager. So I just want to put that out there.
Hey Sue, for security, how is that working out with the lock
Great,
system?
great.
Do you have an update on that?
Yeah, I do. The card keys are all working. We talked to the Total Security, who initially put that in, and there was an issue with the software when they first put it in, because even though the salesperson that I spoke to and we all spoke to knew what we wanted, he eventually got fired because what they put in here for software was more like what they want at the police station, where only certain people are going to get in there with that key card. Well, I have multiple functions, and throughout a day I could have back-to-back. So when we started using it, one card couldn't override the other card, so it was just a jumble of mess. So I finally talked them into coming back up and looking at the system again, and now we have a wonderful, simple, we still have the cards, I can assign you a card, and all you do is put the card in, the door will open, and now we have a switch. Simple. You switch it on to unlock the door. When you walk out at night, you don't have to worry about a key, you don't have to do anything, all you do is flip the switch off, and that secures the door. It's been working fine, I've had no problems with it. The only person that was having a problem was John Hempsey with his card. So I've got to redo his card. But it's wonderful. That's another big relief from my shoulders, because even though I'm part-time, as some of you know, I'm here a lot because I get calls and things like that, and I'm the person they're going to call. And luckily I don't live far away. But with this new added feature, I don't get the calls that I used to get. You know, because when you're renting to different people, and it's a complicated system in order to lock up this building, you're the one people are going to say, well, I don't really understand, it's not locking. So now it's just simple, and it's been wonderful. So our camera system, we installed 3 cameras, and one is in the hallway facing the elevator, one is in the hall leading up to the main entryway from the parking lot, and then we have one in the grand hall that you can see the total grand hall. I can view the camera system from home on my phone. So if I have someone in here that's renting, in the past, you just hoped that everything was shut off, the doors were locked, and everything was secure. Well, now I can actually go in, and which is what I do, and I check, and I look to see, the lights are all off, does everything look good, you know, is anybody in the building roaming around? So I love that feature, because I don't have to come down here every other night and look. So the security features have been really great, what we've done here for that. And a lot of it has just been trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. And I'm happy to say that what we have right now works great. And I am going to be looking to get 2 more cameras in the basement area and probably another one on this floor.
I just happened, you mentioned the basement, I happened to notice a few weeks ago that there's been a lot of our trucks parked on the side. Is there anything?
Oh, okay, yeah, I can tell you about that. That's the heating system. So finally, you know the problems that we had even last year up here with the heat, how hot it got, and we couldn't manage the thermostats. Our office was freezing cold in the winter. You had to bundle up, practically wear fingerless gloves, and so we did get that fixed. The boiler's been repaired. Our thermostat in our office, which is a kind of funny story, is that I, being a woman and having good common sense, kept telling the contractors who were coming in here looking at that heating system that thermostat does work occasionally. And they told me there's no juice to that it can't possibly work. And I said, well, when we crank that up, some days it heats, the funny thing is, it heated the bathrooms and didn't heat our office. Occasionally, it would heat our office. So I kept telling them, no, we've already looked. I said, you need to look again. So they did, and guess what? They found a wire that was crimped. So there was intermittent power to that thermostat. So I was very happy to see them again and say, see? I told you so. So, I mean, a lot of things are being done. We've done a lot of things this year. 2019 has been a good year for the Opera House as far as shoring up the security, shoring up what's going on in the Opera House, the security, as well as our venue events and people using this room for meetings. I don't know if you want me to keep talking about all that, but I can. We did raise our rates in July. Haven't had any pushback from people on the rates. Pardon me? What's that?
It's not high enough.
I know, probably, because, I don't know though, I've looked at other places to compare. Our only difference why people can charge a little bit more than, we don't have a full kitchen. And a lot of these places do have the facilities of cooking, and we don't have that. We have a prep kitchen. We have, which we never had before.
And that's a big improvement. And the other thing is, when we discuss that, is when you get into a full-service kitchen, there's the insurance.
The fire codes, everything. So this prep kitchen has worked great because our caterers love it. The people who come in and bring their own food to their events. Now they have a place where they can just go, and we've got a full-size refrigerator. So that's been really a good push for us for marketing. We do have a kitchen. So caterers bring in their big warming ovens and go to it, and they love it.
Hosted a governor and council meeting?
Yes,
That was a big deal.
yeah, that was a big deal.
Full house.
Yeah. So we've had some good events here. We're looking forward to our Christmas with Elvis on December 21st. So that's another fundraiser. We just got done with our holiday craft fair, which is a big fundraiser for us, where we rent tables and space for a certain amount. And this year we had a waiting list. So I even had people on the day of the fair go to another craft fair and then come in the door here and say, can I please get a space? I don't want to be at the other space, because we have a great craft fair. A lot of people, I don't know if everyone does look at our Facebook page. You should like it and review it, because we do a lot of activity on there. We post what we're doing, what meetings are going on. We're excited about our social media and how much we've increased that. When I started here, we had under 200 likes for the Opera House. We're now up to 1,300, but over 2,000 check-in here, which is wonderful, because we didn't have that at all before.
What's the check-in?
Where people are in the Opera House and checking in, I'm at the Opera House. So we've got a lot of people that are checking in here and saying, I'm at the Opera House during the, I think you might have posted something, or Erin Hennessy posted something when she was here for that, and said at the Opera House, for the economic celebration. So people that are coming here do a check-in, and then that totals up. So that's important to know, because people are commenting how much they like it. I always see, because I live in town, I've lived lived in town a long time. I know a lot of people, and even people I don't know stop in and say how delighted they are that the Opera House lights are on, that we're busy, that it's activity here. There's a lot of activity. Do I want more activity? Absolutely. And I can go in and talk about the rigging, which I know you all want to hear about, and the sound. We're working with 3 companies right now, getting their design and their proposals to maybe, hopefully, do them both together, the rigging and sound. The sound, we've had several meetings, including with Upstage Players. So we're hoping that we can all collaborate and do something that they want to have, as a separate proposal for them, but that can be phased into what we need right now. So what I really need right now is a basic sound package. What we have is old and antiquated, which I've been saying for over 3 years, just as being here, and with the chamber before that.
And we don't own the sound system? Or,
We do.
We do, okay.
We do. I found the inventory from 2012 that said what we owed, even though some was already taken, but that's another story. So, anyways, I think that, Andrew's been wonderful about applying for grants for the Opera House. So that's helping us.
For the rigging though, there was a warrant article 2 or 3 years ago,
Yeah.
and that money's been
Yes.
encumbered each year,
Yes.
so it's still available.
Up until
Yeah.
the end of this last year, we were able to encumber it. It's folded over into our fund balance. We're gonna have a warrant article to pull it back out. The auditors wouldn't let us, because no movement has happened on it. They just told us that
That's the way it goes.
it's gonna have to be pulled back out.
So in 2020, I expect that we will have an adequate sound system here, and I hope that with Upstage involvement, that they will also partner and put in what they want. They can remove it, they can keep it, they can do what they want.
Or donate it.
Yeah.
Or donate it, yeah. So, but we're working together, because they use the Opera House, and so we want everyone, we want it to fit the needs of the people who are using the venue. I mean, whether it be a speaker on a stage, whether it's a concert, pardon me?
Town government.
Town government, all the different events that we have, we want it to meet their needs. And then Upstage Players need specialized needs. They need different speakers in different places, different mics, things like that. So we've asked the companies to give us a quote for the Opera House, for the town, and then do a separate one for Upstage Players. So we can kind of see, what we can maybe do together and what they might have to do on their own. We'll see how that all plays out, because we're working with them. But we've got 3 good contractors. It's a lot of work, and there's another thing that Doug Damco has been extremely helpful to me, because I've been trying to do this on my own. And of course, not being an engineer, I can read and I can understand things, but having his knowledge has been tremendous to me in getting this moving as quick as it has been moving in the past few months. So I think you'll see that it's going to get done in 2020.
And the sound system's one of those, the sound system, the lighting, and the rigging is dependent on both of those
Yep.
things too. I mean, both of those are dependent on rigging.
Yep.
They're really one of those things that have been a limiting factor for what kind of events you can really do.
Yeah. I mean, I can have bands come in here and I can do agreements with them. I do a 50-50 split on tickets. Sometimes I hire the band outright and we take all the revenue. It depends on the person, the event, what they're doing. And that's worked. It's worked much better than what we ever used to do. We used to just say, well, you can rent the venue for $500 and then you make everything. Well, now we can make $1,500 on one show. And if I got more sound and eventually better lighting, I could have something going on here twice a month.
Now, when you mention donations and such, can you and fundraisers, where is that showing up on the revenue side? Is it under donation special purpose, your fundraising, or is it in?
We've got event revenues.
Okay.
This is as of the end of September too.
Yeah.
So you have event revenues, which is $4,987. And then you've got some small miscellaneous donations, which are $738, and special purpose donations of $6,050.
So like when you have like a craft fair or some of these fundraisers, where would that?
That would be event.
That would be the event, yeah. So any of the concerts that I do, anything where we're pulling in revenue for someone that's here and people are coming in to pay for a ticket, that goes under there. The other good thing that we're gonna have here, which has been lacking at the Opera House, is the ability to do credit cards here for payments. So that's been difficult because we haven't been able to do that. Well, now working with Karen, I should have that up and running by the end of the month or at least January. I'd like to have it done by December 21st so we can sell our own tickets. Because what we've done for events here, we do Catamount, and they print tickets for us, and it costs like $7.50 for tickets. And then they advertise for us, and then they get 10%, which works out great. I mean, we don't really, people just go online, they advertise in the paper. But if we can do it here ourselves too, then we're gonna get more, because a lot of people call, want tickets. You'll have to come in and pay cash or a check.
The big help has been Brian Patno too.
Yes.
Helping set up so they're able to use, he has a lot of computer knowledge people don't realize.
Oh, he does.
And he's very helpful. So our departments are working together.
I spent an afternoon with Brian at the transfer station because he got the whole system that I wanted. And so he gave me a training on it. So I learned a lot from him, and I think it's going to be, really beneficial to the Opera House. I'll be able to get a tablet with this system where if we're out in the people coming in to buy tickets at the door, we can do it right there. We can do it right on our own desktop now. So I think it's going to be work great. And it will send out reports, it'll send out emails, it'll send out invoices. So I think it's going to move us up, definitely.
Another thing about maintenance of the temple, and maybe you can speak to that, is the parapet that was installed back like in 2000. Notice the paint is starting, it's not critical, but it's starting to weather. And so at some point, it will probably need a paint job.
Yeah, I've talked to Amos Bell about that, who's the building coordinator. And he's tried to find a contractor to do that. He cannot find anyone that will go up there to scrape and prime it and paint it.
You don't want it to rot because it might be a $20,000 job will turn into.
So that's something that I hope we can just keep working
And
on.
which part are we talking about?
Well, it's
The
wood that,
like the wood
that goes all around.
The fascia.
Yeah.
Okay, that was created.
When they put slope.
Right, so the water would run off the back, yes.
It's starting to weather every year. It's, another year down, and eventually it's gonna.
But we're very fortunate here because in the past 2 years, the other thing when I first started here, I had no idea who the contractors were here, who did what. I mean, at one point, I discovered that I had 2 companies coming in and do the fire extinguisher inspection. And I'm like, wait a minute, why are you both coming here? So I've compiled a list. I mean, we've got that office now that if I walked out the door, somebody else could come in and pick up our management book, find out how to do things. We have how to set up for certain events, how to do this. We've got everything is there. So someone could, and before it was not, we worked, I was basically by myself, as you know. And so, during the first year, it was a learning experience about what goes on here, who should we have for contractors, who we shouldn't have anymore, because I felt there were some people that we had here that we could get better. I shouldn't say better, because we can shop around. We can shop around, right? And instead of just saying, well, this guy's been doing it for 10 years, well, what about somebody else? What can they do for us? So we've done a lot of that kind of stuff here. My job is not just booking the Opera House. My job is managing the building, coordinating everything that goes on here, we're so busy that coordinating setups and takedowns, we installed, in our contract, we put in now, we used to do for free, the setups and breakdown. Well, now we charge $150 because I don't have a full-time staff. I have
Added value.
outdone myself trying to do it by myself, and they pay for it because it is. So we're doing things that are bringing some revenue and that it's helping the Opera House.
Now, is there any plans to go after a grant for some type of marketing plan to assist you in that area?
I think,
Including technical assistance.
yeah, I mean, Andrew and I have talked about that. I did learn how to do buckstrom. So I do that. When we have something, I put us in on the map that we're having a music event or something. Do they know what?
Yes, so, yeah, one of the things we did was tie,
Yeah.
there's a national website called Eventful, and so, our contractor found out that the Littleton local events calendar was still Littleton, and then some of our other calendars, they weren't showing up on Eventful, and it's just some kind of a formatting thing, so, we had Eventful actually get in touch with Joe Littleton, and they changed something, so that now it shows up, now we show up as like a national, venue on a national calendar.
And Chris uses it for Park and Rec, and,
Yeah, and it goes deeper than that because it allows the different business owners who are using the data advertisers, so like Facebook and all these other things, Instagram. It's tied in with that, so it lets them know when events in your area, so they can plan their advertising or staffing or whatever on that. So now it looks like we're a really busy place, whereas people
Yeah.
naturally would have made on that area and really skip it.
and we also purchased new curtains this year for the backdrop. Upstage players had made some, and they were fire retardant and certified, and they were interested in selling them to us. So we purchased them.
Now, is that the stage curtain?
The black curtains, the backdrop.
Okay.
Yep, and actually on the stage. So we have side curtains now, and we have, which is good because it looks nicer.
But so if obviously, all the progress that's been made,
Yes,
and at the risk of being repetitive, which I'm
No.
often accused of.
that's okay.
The Betty Davis wedding.
The Betty Davis what?
Wedding.
Wedding?
Wedding.
Wedding?
Well, that's not going to a lot of weddings. But I mean, the money that's spent today, even on a moderate wedding, I mean, if we could do 10 of those weddings,
Well-
that town supplement would go away.
Oh, I mean, I don't think, I might have had, I can't remember if we had weddings here when I started. I don't think so.
Because you didn't have the prep kitchen.
Yeah,
you didn't
and so
have-
now, just this year, I think that I had 5 weddings, and I'm already booking into October of next year.
Okay, but how much are we charging for a wedding?
It can come up to 1,000 by the time, because I don't know if I already said this, the other thing that we've done this year is as I said, when we first came here as town management, we didn't have a fork here, we didn't have anything, pad of paper, pen, anything, tables, nothing. So through the course of 2 years, we've developed the things that we need. We have some wonderful volunteers and donors who we didn't have to pay for them, but they purchased for us table linens. We have a lot of different, not a lot, but we have probably 4 to 5 different colors for the round tables, for the rectangulars. We have napkins. We have nice chair covers for downstairs. So we rent those now. So-
Wouldn't it be unreasonable, though, that we could put together a $5,000 wedding package?
I don't know. I think that might be a little extreme for the Opera House right now. Are you talking future?
Obviously, you have to figure out what goes into it and what other.
I'll play along, or even coordinate with a local business that has a kitchen
Yeah?
that you could perhaps
Yeah.
offer different themes.
Yeah, well, the thing that we do here too is
Might be
we
allowed.
let people know how the availability of caterers are right here. So we have people in Littleton, and I refer everyone, I mean, they've gotten great business from us now, because people, they just cater, they bring it in. And it's not an expensive feat to do, because, just to name one, is Topic of the Town, which is right here, they do a great job. I've had Joe's Kitchen here, I've had different people who have come here and done the catering. I think that, you know, when people first look at the Opera House, they think, oh, there's not enough parking here, or this and that. But in our contract, we now have how easy it is for parking for your guests, for anyone, less than a 2-minute walk. So that's helped too, because people are like, oh, you look at the Opera House, you're on the corner of 2 busy streets, where are you gonna park? So I think that just investing in, you know, more marketing could be a good thing.
Is the Betty Davis name available? How would that be approached?
So to see if you can use it.
So we could market
Because of
it.
her historical connection.
Yeah.
Well, we do use it.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's used.
Well, the museum, actually, the museum has, you know, you've been to the
Oh, yeah,
museum.
yeah.
So he has his Betty Davis section, and in our pamphlet that we made up for the Opera House this past year that talks about our history, Betty Davis is in there. So we talk
Might be a
about,
little different though if you were actually advertising a Betty Davis wedding perchance.
Oh, you could have that as an option.
What it is.
Well, that's what I mean, because that name obviously still, I mean, she has a strong connection to this building, and
I
that her
think-
name still has great recognition.
I don't know about the younger people though.
And their mothers and grandmothers.
That's true, but I think the people that we're getting in here now for themed weddings, they're doing Disney, they're doing country, they're doing, oh gosh, I couldn't even name, I mean, we've had some beautiful weddings that have been done in
It's
here.
just that, the one, like I say, I haven't been to many of it, it astonishes me, the money.
Yeah.
In the era
Oh, yeah.
when people are getting married to the degree seemingly that they used to, and obviously church weddings are not happening the way they
Yeah.
used to.
Yeah, and
And
we-
church weddings truthfully would be way less expensive,
Yeah.
but some of the ones that I've gone to, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, and in the area, I mean, down at Ogon's and
Yeah.
Sugar Hill, I mean.
Bishop Farms, back over, Bishop,
Yeah.
guys are in, look down.
Yeah.
Years ago.
That's
So,
right.
I mean, we
They're
do
talking
have
some-
that.
You're talking about some big dollars. I'm not gonna say we're gonna compete head-on with them per se, but there's gonna be some that, you know, something a little smaller,
I
more
think
affordable.
that our
could
big
be-
pull from here is that we're a classic venue. We're not a barn, we're not a venue barn that, you know, that's what their job is for weddings. People walk in here, when I show them, and if you looked at Facebook and saw our pictures, I show them what people have done in here with weddings and how they've done their setup and everything. They're astonished at how beautiful it is. I mean, I have people coming in here that just come back and thank us, and a lot of times they bought things for their wedding and then they've donated it to the Opera House.
Yeah. Well, I'm just mentioning, because I mean, just the dollars, I mean, if you're looking for somewhere you could really make
Yeah,
some.
and that's you know, something that I think if we had somebody else with us on marketing, that we could maybe do packages that say, you know, think about the Opera House, a classic venue, you know, built in 1894, you know, put all the things together and send it out. I'm not doing, there's a magazine, is it the Profile magazine? What is it that Peabody Smith puts out? Is that the
Profile is Courier.
Okay, there's one that's put out and they put a lot of wedding venue information in
Is
there.
that the Knot? The Knot does it.
No, I think it was Peabody Smith that sent me the link to do it. But anyways, I can't do it this year, but I'm hoping to do it in the spring, to have a package put in there for people who are looking for wedding venues. But again, that's talking with Andrew.
Maybe do an open house type of thing, like, you know, for people planning on weddings.
We tried to
Oh, you
do
did?
that.
Okay.
We had a event coordinator here, and I worked out something with her, and she came and had florists, she had a photographer, but she didn't do well at it. So, we're continually trying to keep the wheel moving, and we're trying to continue to talks with Andrew about what else can we do at the Opera House for the community, for tourists. We're very fortunate to have this building here, and we're very fortunate that we have preserved it and taken care of it. And we'll continue to do that, I hope.
For at least 50 years, right?
I hope, yeah.
40 left, 40.
Yeah. So,
Talk about
Anytime you can get a
I'm
$3
gonna-
million dollar job done for $1.5 million, you're doing.
that's
I'm
right.
gonna try to spin the wheel a little bit more.
Yeah.
So anyway, so that's my, I hope I gave everybody information on what we're doing.
I'm gonna just do a quick bottom review here. So the Opera House proposed budget for 2020 is $104,511. There's an increase of $8,136. Most all of that has to do with building maintenance, building repair, or increasing our equipment, or repairing phone, internet connections, redoing what we've got. The amount from taxation is actually increased to $10,635 over 2019's approved. That is almost a 21% increase. And the reason why is we've adjusted the revenues a little bit down.
How much is that, Karen, please?
The increase,
Increase in the
well,
tax.
last year, in 2019, the town appropriation on the tax rate was $50,772. In 2020 proposed, we have $61,408.
Now, what's that elevator inspection, which is new? Is that something that we're doing on our own, or is it a mandate from the
It's
state?
required by the state, and it was something that was missed when we put this budget together last year. But it's something that the state has to come in every year and inspect our elevator, make sure that it's running right.
They give us a certification that's placed in the elevator that it's been
And this
inspected.
is a state employee that comes around and does that?
We do
Or is
it with
a contract?
Pine State Elevator. And they're the company that does a lot of these inspections, and they work with the state on the certification. So, I mean, they're,
But to the tune of $1,000 once a year? Really?
well, no, they come in more than once a year. They do annual maintenance, they do checks, they come in.
Okay, so this isn't just inspection.
It's not
this is-
just the
it's a-
inspection.
It's a maintenance.
Yeah, it's a maintenance contract, so they come in periodically, because I'm always like, well, what are you here for now, you know? So, but it's just like Superior Fire Protection, they just went up on their cost. So Karen has figured that into our budget, because they went up a little bit, and I was surprised, but they have been here checking things and repairing things, and those are things that we need.
Yeah.
So we can't get away from paying that price.
Did you have an amount, how much donation you received for 2019, please?
For 2019 straight donation money or
Money, cash.
money?
Well, I have on this report about 6,700.
6,700?
No, not for actual donations, no.
Well, donations, special purpose, and donations together. Keep that up. 738 and 6,050. So 6788.
Yeah, right here. Oh, you're adding those together?
Yes.
All right.
Sorry. How much is that? 6,700?
6788.
And I mean, if we took in the cost of purchasing all the things that are donated to us brand new that people just buy, I mean, I couldn't even, I don't think I've spent that much money on things that we needed here. A lot of it was given by friends of the Opera House that want to see the Opera House succeed. You know, coffee, you name it, you know, coffee urns, just even little things. I mean, we've gotten from different people who just want to see us succeed. Granted, would I love to have money to get my custodian all new cleaning equipment? I would, But I'm very fortunate that our custodian used to own a cleaning business. So he brings his own equipment here. So, yeah, so so, there's a lot to running this building, and I feel like we're doing a good job here. I think that with the support from Andrew, Karen, everyone in the government, town government, and the budget committee, I think that, the taxpayers, everyone has been supporting us and wanting us to succeed, and want to make sure that we preserve this building, and that we don't just walk away from it and let things happen that we can't control. We've done a lot in 2 years of just trying to keep the building in the fire code, making sure that everything, if an inspector walked in, that we're good. And in the past, that wasn't always the case, so.
We're close.
We've worked hard. I've physically worked hard in the basement cleaning things, so, I mean, it's a work of love, though.
The basement, even unfinished, has been a
Yeah.
transformation.
Oh, it is. It's unbelievable. But I mean, if you're here or you've been a citizen of Littleton for years, even if you're a newcomer to Littleton and you come to the Opera House, you fall in love with it. It's a special building, and we are very lucky in the town of Littleton to have this building. So that's the end of my spiel.
Good. I'm going to move us along to exec if I can, unless there's questions.
Is that
for
it for
her.
Sue, though? For the questions, or?
I'll say one thing, dog park. There may or may not be an article coming up, and the dog park committee has raised up to date $8,000.
Well, we're hoping that, because I'm co-chair of the dog park, if you don't know that already, I have a very active Facebook page and social media for that as well. We attend a lot of events. We're doing fundraising. We are selling merchandise now to raise funds. So we took in, at one point, we had over 3,000, and then I think we spent over 1,000 on some great quality t-shirts, dog bowls, different things that we could sell. And we got them at a really good price because we got a certain quantity of them. So that was all part of researching of how we can make money, how can we do that. And I want to do the same thing for the Opera House. I'd love to work with Pollyanna Shop and put some things for the Opera House in there. Coffee mugs, t-shirts, things like that, that can also bring revenue. So the dog park, the biggest issue is the land still. We've looked at 2 or 3 sites, but none of them have really come out to be exactly what we want, or it just didn't work out.
But that'll probably come up later at another meeting we do.
Yes.
More articles, so
Yes.
probably don't need to cover all
No,
of it.
okay. But we are doing well. We're Partner of the Month for November at the Food Co-op. So we hope to raise anywhere between $4,000 and $6,000 on that. We were dining for a cause at 99 one night. We raised quite a bit of money there. So we're doing a lot of grassroots fundraising, but that's where it all starts. So
Who's in charge of the financial in the Opera House?
who's in charge? Karen.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes. She's my financial
Same
wizard.
person's in charge.
She is good too.
She's very good. She's very good.
Thank you. That's
you.
what you hired me for.
That's right, exactly.
That's why we pay the big money.
She's also been tremendous to me being anything here at the Opera House. So.
Yeah, she's been a passion for the Opera House.
Yes, she does.
Yeah.
She's been a strong supporter here.
Sue, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
So-
Unless there's any other hats that you need to put on
I
tonight.
don't, I'm thinking about giving up one of my hats, but
Yeah, we'll talk to her.
Thank you very much.
you're welcome. Thank you.
I tried that, it didn't work.
Well, the trouble is when you start something and you end up having such a passion for what you do, it's really hard to walk away. And I have that part of my personality, unfortunately, but there comes a point, I think, sometimes you have to just say, oh, you've got to stop slipping on black ice.
Before God makes the decision.
Yes, exactly. All right, well, thank you, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Have a good Thanksgiving.
Oh, my two grandchildren, they're beautiful.
So I'm going to move on to the executive office. I know our time is running quickly short. And I'm going to do a review of the default and a review of the proposed, and that's on page 5 of 42. So under executive office, of course, we have town manager, we have the executive assistant to the town manager, we have the executive secretary for the selectmen and welfare director. Many of you know in the past years we have a portion going out to the sewer funds, and in the proposed, we're proposing to do a portion of the welfare director out to the welfare. So just a quick overview of the default. The bottom line number is increased by $2,589. That is basically through the increases through the wages and the wage-related benefits for 2019. It's a 0.9% increase, so it's less than 1% increase. In the 2020 proposed budget, we have moved the rate for the sewer from 20 to 25%. This year, I think it's been more than 25% because of the major projects. We have moved 25% of the welfare director's portion of the wages out to welfare. Sometimes it's more than that, sometimes it can be less. It depends on the demands of the town. We've got an increase, of course, throughout the wages and benefits or adjustments because of those changes. We have an increase in travel reimbursement, and that is mileage for the admin staff and mileage for the health officer. When we were here at last week's meeting, the health officer went over all of the different traveling that he has done. We have some adjustments within the health insurance lines and on the wage-related benefits. Under training expense, we have added the NHMA meeting in here for $200. And we have health officer training, which we did not have a lot of money in before. We had 150, we're raising that to 200. And when you were here at that meeting, if you were here or see it on TV, he has gone to a lot of training to learn some of the things that he's had to deal with. Under professional services and grant match, we have increased the professional services to $20,000 from $10,000. We have grant match or match funds available for grants from $7,000 to $10,000. We also have an increase in the health officer salary, which we talked about last meeting, but we're going from $5,200 a year to $7,500 a year. With all of these adjustments and changes, we actually have a reduction in the executive budget of $849. It's a 0.30% reduction. Now, I'm going to move on to some other budgets because some of these relate to this.
Page number.
What we're going to do is we're going to look at, I'm going to go to, actually I'll go to welfare first because that budget has changed since we discussed it the first time. And I'm trying to get to that page. It is page 29 of 42. So in the welfare budget, when we were here and discussed this before, we talked about the increases because of the activities that have been going on this year. We had increased already the medical assistance, electric, heating, rent, miscellaneous, food assistance, and funeral assistance. Now we have added into 25% of the director wages, health insurance, life, disability, Social Security, Medicare into this budget. So the actual increase on this budget is $31,051. It's 59.61% increase. Some other changes, we have not talked about the assessing budget. So on page 10, 42, the default budget has an increase of $62,000 in it. And the reason why there's $62,000 is we are required every 5 years to do a full statistical, I can't say it today.
Repeat the end because it doesn't sound too good.
Regular full or a statistical.
Okay, a full statistical reval.
Yeah.
And it's required by DRA. We have that in the default budget. We also have that in the proposed budget.
We didn't just do that 2 years ago?
So this is, we have a meeting to review that with the DRA. This one was planned and contracted. The one we did before was out of cycle because the market moved so much that trigger came in. So what we have to find out is the triggered one satisfactory?
Or is that just this one happening sooner?
Right.
I'm jumping
So
around.
that's what
I would hope so.
Well, not really, because that's what the way we had it set up was in order to, in the past, the statistical revaluation or full reval, all of it happened in 1 year. So what would happen is you visit every property in 1 year, and it's pretty expensive. It would usually be $400,000. So the way that we structured the contract last time was that.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr.
Yeah,
Manager.
so the way we structured this contract this time was that a quarter of all the properties would be visited every year for a 4-year period. And then in the 5th year, there would be a full statistical evaluation, so it would take it all. And the goal was to make it less of a, again, try to stabilize the tax rate, make it less of a hit. But what we didn't plan on was the market shifted positive so much that our valuations were way up.
Our percent of value changed, so
And
it's
it went down to 83%, and I think you're supposed to be at
90 better.
Yeah. So right now, I mean, this isn't the official number, but I think we're around 95% right now, and which means we're in range.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm meeting with DRA, and
I mean, as much heartache as
Decided before or after, but
before budget. So I think my meeting with them is next week. So hopefully we'll have an answer.
So
Yeah.
maybe this doesn't have to happen?
If it doesn't, that's gonna be nice here.
Yeah. So the contract for the regular assessing has a slight increase to it in the proposed. We also moved Trans-Canada Assessing Service down to the utility assessment, which is now called Utility and Special Purpose Assessment. And we are going to do some additional special purpose assessments.
Yeah.
Under the data processing, we do have increases in our software programs that relate to the assessing and mapping out the properties.
This division.
So there is about just over $1,000 increase in the data processing. We have a small increase in the professional services for forestry. We went from 250 to 500. That is an unpredictable number because it depends on timber cuts. So in 2019, we've already spent $1,050 in that line. So the
Explain how many carriers it relates to timber tax?
the professional services forestry.
So when a timber incentive cut comes in,
Yeah.
we have a local forester who will look through the intent to cuts. And so when someone's going to cut their land, they have to file an intent to cut, and there's a tax formula for it. The formula is determined by things like how easy is it to get to the site, what is the quality of the timber,
How steep it is, et cetera.
yeah, so there's a local forester who will go through them, and then much of them are just, I don't think everyone is visited and analyzed, but the ones that have charged an hourly rate to do so. And the town has an option legally. There's one method to do it where you don't pay a forester at all. You have to, if if you discriminate equally across the board and say, we're gonna tax everybody at
10%.
60% or
No, no, no,
10%.
10%.
Yeah, 10%. Then it's fair, everybody can challenge it.
You know, some communities, it's just 10%. There's others, they actually send you out a letter and they ask you about the quality of the wood and the steepness of the terrain, and it's wet or dry, or whatever the case may be. But not every community does that. Most of them is just 10%.
Right, that's what I've seen.
Yeah.
So I was surprised to see that we actually do this.
I will let you know that timber yield taxes that we collected so far this year was $26,000. It's worth having someone.
Well, no, you're gonna collect that regardless.
Yeah, so we did the math, actually, like exactly what you're saying. When I first came here and saw that, we looked at, if we take all the timber taxes and do the 10% and see what does that equal. Now, let's look at what we actually did with those percentages and then the amount we paid to see if it was worth it. It was pretty close.
Yeah, but you're never gonna collect more than 10%. I don't believe. I've never seen it more than 10.
We do here. I feel, whatever the general, it fluctuates. We have lower, we have higher. And I'm not sure what the top number is.
Yeah,
or the low number.
I've never seen it above 10.
Okay.
And the only I've ever seen is when they use that alternate method, I've seen it be less. I've never seen it be more.
I have to look at it, but you're right. If it is 10, then maybe we should just not even do 10. It's max,
But that's what it tends to.
So the assessing budget in the 2020 proposed, there's an increase of $72,099. It's a 68.61% increase.
So,
A majority of that is the $62,000 for the full statistical reval.
so I thought we just had the full town done. Can you just explain that, because
yeah, that's what I was just saying. So,
Yeah, right.
so what we just did was, we did do it.
There's a heartache you created, Joe.
Yeah. It's,
Here it comes again.
so a meeting with the Department of Revenue Administration, I think it's next week, to see if we have to do this. Because our schedule is to have a full statistical done next year. That's what our contract says. But we had to do an out-of-cycle one because the Littleton's market moved so quickly.
But if we did one in 2018,
we're just saying. I mean,
why wouldn't it now be moving up to 2023?
That's what our meeting's about. So
Okay.
I'll let you know what they say.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that can be postponed for a couple of reasons. If we just, the community's just digested the new assessments and gone through processes and things like that, but, you know, and with the pilot study, you know, we're still figuring out tax rates and start moving things around too quickly.
As much
I
as
thought it was more, if you do 20% every year, and in 5 years you're good, something like that.
So there's two different things going on. So one is the what's called measuring and listing, right? So the measuring and listing is where they actually go to the site, they check it out, they determine the value of the property. So we were doing a quarter of the town a year. And so they just finished that. So that means now they visited all the properties after 4 years. And then the fifth year, the contract was that they would do the statistical analysis based on all that information. So when they did the statistical in 18, there was still a quarter of properties that hadn't been measured and listed. But as far as how that actually impacts, you know, all the different properties, and if we can push it back, that's where we're going to be leaning on the DRA and seeing if we legally can do it. So meeting with them, I think it's next week. It could be the week after that, but we'll know before it's finalized whether it's required or not.
So if we can push it back,
We will.
it will come out of the budget.
Yeah, no, it just,
We share your sentiment.
well, it's more, I think you need time to kind of digest and.
It's multifaceted, but Jim's point is that obviously.
If you keep moving it every year, then it's,
Yeah,
and properties, you know, they move.
Anytime you do a reval, you certainly run the risk of irritating a third of the population.
Right.
You don't want to do that every other year.
Right, we're gonna do whatever the law requires, so I mean, you know, I totally understand that sentiment, I'm in line with that, but the DRA is our boss, so we'll do whatever they say.
Huh.
Yeah.
So another budget that has a small adjustment in it is the zoning and planning budget. It's page 11 of 42. We've included a professional service amount for the CIP update of $10,000.
So I have a question on that one too.
Go right
So
ahead.
you can see now we had a committee at one point, maybe 10 years ago, didn't we? And we have a framework of an old one. Why can't we simply just update the old one instead of hiring that out?
Yeah, we started doing that, and I think we have most of the groundwork done.
Okay.
It's really, by law, a planning board responsibility. I think that back when we first started looking at it, the planning board put out to see who would be interested, and I think there was only one person. Yeah. So, really, this would just be, we're gonna throw them all the information, and they can clean it up. There's some questions about it and get it to whatever standards there are. We don't know the exact amount that it would be, but
Okay.
we'll put that in there, so.
I thought there was a committee and, you know, they went
There
around.
there
and
was,
did the
I mean,
legwork
I think the
too.
planning board held meetings
Yeah.
regarding the capital improvement. plan.
They did, and we did a
Like 3 to
brief,
5 years ago.
yeah, we did a brief update.
Is that-
No, I mean, I worked on one
Yeah.
15 years ago.
Yeah, and that's what we're using. Yeah, that's what we're updating. We've had some meetings with the planning board. You know, this is none of those things where it's a function of a town planner, which we don't have. So, you know, we got to contract that out to get it done.
Or volunteers.
Yeah, or volunteers if they're available. I think there's you know, some questions too that,
And the only reason why I say that is sometimes the internal perspective, instead of hiring somebody from the 2 towns over, offers
yeah. And we'll be checking
some
with
guidance.
North Country
So
Council.
The hurdles aren't as big.
Right.
Maybe.
So I'm continuing on page 16 of 42. In the police department, we have a couple changes. You see in the dark gray area, records data system. The last year we got a records management system. We have to keep that up to date and make sure we maintain it. The figure that was given us to do that is $5,400. We also want to put fiber communication lines into the police department, hopefully the fire department at some point. And those new fiber lines are going to run about $600 a month. That's $7,200. And if you flip
I think the
to,
chief talked about that last time, just about, did he
he mentioned
Yeah,
it,
just
yes.
have the high level data.
But we're looking for guidance on this from,
Estimate.
yes.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah,
So-
I mean, that's a great local resource, and they should,
oh, we're heavily involved with them. In fact, I mean, over the past year, we've really integrated further. We had, you know, like you heard from Sue about a fire mail,
Yeah.
we had multiple contractors, you know, any charter or Spectrum, we had Consolidated Communications, we had First Light, we had some SNS, and then there was a stream of other providers. And so what we've done is for the town office, and for the most part, the police department, and fire department, the library is actually going to be coming on next, is integrate the internet and the phone system, and then all of our data management, and SNS is handling it. So when we do have an issue, you know, we don't get this. We're getting, yeah, we'll get it done. You know.
It'll be one bill, one bill like for the service, and you can allocate it however.
Yeah, so we can do a split. Yeah, I mean, I think right now, do we get a split bill, or do we have separate?
We
It's
have
a-
to split it up.
Yeah.
when the police department was talking about, it's, at the time, I remember I asked the question, it sounded like they were going like in 3 different directions or something, and that's why.
So they do have, one of their needs is they have to have a dual system. So we use the SNS tower. So they have a tower that gets fiber optic, and then if you're within a certain line of sight, we receive the signal that way. I think the fire department does the same thing. Police department, Public Works is on an older, long-term contract with charter for Spectrum. And so what Chief is looking at is keeping the data connection, which is, it's a good connection, but it's not fast enough. And so then they're going to do a fiber optic, and the fiber optic is needed because of all the camera systems that they have in the cruisers and in the body cams. And then all they're doing, they also have a massive number of documents, and so everything has to go be backed up every night. And it's not happening right now. So it's not, I mean, it's trying to, but there's not a bandwidth. Yeah. So this is what's needed to make that happen. And we're actually looking at transitioning, working with SNS right now, on transitioning the town-wide data. We're looking to see if it's got a quick return on investment to migrate all of our stuff onto like a Microsoft cloud. And then our servers themselves they have a good amount of space on it, and we would do that so that we could line it up in a way where the police, right now they're using an on-site data system, which isn't, best option. So we'll be able to pull all of their information onto our servers and use the capacity. So it looks like there'll be a good return on investment on it, so, and cheaper monthly costs.
On page 18 of 42 in the police department, the ballistic shield and the restraint chair has been pulled out of this budget. It's going to be purchased in 2019. Selectmen authorized that a couple of days ago.
So that's out of unexpended?
That is not out of unexpended funds. That is going to come from the municipal aid funds that we receive. The selectmen.
That was what, current?
The 120.
122,000.
This is
The additional?
HB2 surplus funds. And the board voted to put $50,000 of that towards the tax rate.
So that does adjust the police budget. It almost equals out because the monies that they put in are kind of offset by some of the monies that were pulled out. And I believe we're ready to kind of look over the summary, the total. Go back to page 2 of 42. And I know this is very small. There has been some minor adjustments here and there throughout the budget. So the default budget is $9,111,253. This is just the operating budget. It's $186,903 above the 2019 budget. It's 2.09% increase. I've also included the offsetting revenues, and this includes the pilot revenues. So the amount that would be needed to raise by taxes on this would be $2,916,396. And this is the operating budget. It does not include the transfer station, does not include special detail or the parking meters. So the 2020 proposed, currently we have $9,356,169. The difference between the 2019 approved and the 2020 proposed is $431,819. It's 14.84%. Now, I have noted in a gray, dark gray area here that the ambulance, that will be on a warrant article. If the warrant article is approved, it will pull it out of this budget. So that will reduce this budget. It actually reduces it to just under 3%. I think it's the last calculation that I had. And also pulling the revenues for the default and the proposed are exactly the same at this time. So the proposed appropriation, if you include the ambulance in this, is $3,161,312. Then you look at the second page. The Second page has the Opera House, the parking meters, the transfer station, and then EMS is on here. The default is the difference between these numbers, the 524,704, the 2019 approved, and the 526,361 is $1,657. It's 0.32% for those budgets. In the proposed, we have a difference of 59,355. It's 11.31%. And of course, with smaller numbers, the percentage does change. And as I said before, if we pull out the ambulance from the operating budget through the warrant article, it does change the operating budget some. The other three columns on these pages, I have the difference between the 2020 default and the 2019 approved, and the percentage for each department. I have the difference between the 2020 proposed and the 2019 approved with the percentage change. The difference between the 2020 proposed and the 2020 default, because that's something that doesn't show on your other sheets in here. So under the operating expenditures, the difference between the default and the proposed is $244,960. It's 2.69% difference.
This is a warrant, isn't
It's going to be, yeah,
So that
but
should be on here.
it needs to show up as special revenue funds because it's going to be a
Right.
special revenue
it?
fund.
But we don't usually show something until it's been approved. So you're all showing double, I think.
Well, I think that's why we talked about moving up the subtraction line in there. So I have the most recent updated. I know you get sick of receiving these. Some things are still on there.
I don't mind. I got a whole stack on it.
We continue to work on this because it seems like every day there's something that comes in that says, please add this.
And one thing to keep in mind with these too is that the select board hasn't meant to leave these out. So for example, there's 2 separate road projects on there, each one's $500,000. You know, I don't think we're proposing to do both of those, but really the board is gonna hear from the town, figure out which one of those they wanna do. So there's other things on here too that the board hasn't had a chance to review and recommend. But one of the things, you know, besides that, Karen had brought up maybe, you know, if the budget committee wanted to provide any guidance on some of these. Or the board.
Yeah, possibly letting us know, you know, if you feel we need to look at something, or we can take your recommendations back to the selectmen. They're meeting December 9th to go over these in a work session.
Actually,
So,
I should have mentioned Bronco plans on being here tonight, but he ended up having to go pick up his son. Yeah.
under the top section, this is the default and all warrant articles that might have a tax impact. And this is an estimated tax rate only based on what our valuation is right now. So let's look at the default. So you have the default number of 9 million. This is line 6 on the top. $9,111,253 minus the offsetting revenues leaves a balance of $2,916,396. Means the estimated tax impact using this information would be $4.83, rounding up. You have the transfer station budget on here as well. And I'm going to move down to the proposed. which is line 6 on the second group of numbers. So the proposed is $9,356,169. The offsetting revenues, $6,194,857. The amount for appropriations that we would need from the tax rate would be $3,161,312. The tax impact estimated is $5.23. And this second section shows you, as of right now, what we have for warrant articles combined all together with the proposed budget, what the estimated tax impact would be if everything was approved. And we do know that there's some things on here that are going to come off. So looking at the things individually, the EMS ambulance 5-year lease, the tax impact would be $82,754. That's 0.102 per thousand. That's what it will be in the tax rate. We have the 2 cruisers on a 3-year lease. The first payment would be till 2021. Final payment's 2022. So in 2020, there will be no tax impact. Have police department new full-time police officer for 9 months. Estimated tax impact is $66,000 for that first 9 months. The estimated cost per thousand is 10 cents, 10.9 cents.
We're talking about adding a police officer this year?
It's been proposed.
When, that wasn't here when the police department presented.
No, I'm saying it's been proposed to you. It's new, and the board has to take a look at it.
No, but it wasn't mentioned.
Yeah.
Well, you know, you had those, and that's $100 grand. It's not $100 grand today, it's $100 grand tomorrow, and $100 grand.
The board hasn't approved that yet.
Yeah. I asked Karen at the meeting when we were gonna have our $2 million police department. I guess that would be the answer, right?
And the sergeant position hasn't been filled, has it? Or
We have an acting sergeant right now.
there's still a vacancy in the top 3 positions, right?
Not with the acting sergeant that we have.
Captain with this, acting.
But, you know, I mean, obviously, but and those are the things that live with you forever. I mean, in big dollars. You know, and honestly, I'm not saying, obviously, they all have their argument for it, safety and this, that, and I know there's a ton of challenges out there, but still, at some point, it comes down to affordability. And that'll put us in that $2 million category very quickly.
So this doesn't have it, just in the warrant article?
Just in the warrant article.
Yeah,
So-
and, you know, and the 9-month thing, you know, that's not the truth, as it is, but I mean.
Right,
you know,
it softens the blow.
Yeah, but, you know, very quickly, you know, that it becomes $100,000, and then you put a pay increase or 2 on top of that, and you got the contract you're negotiating with that same union, right, for
That's correct.
next year too, so I mean, you hit that $100,000 in a heartbeat.
And the other thing you mentioned last time, Steve, was that usually overtime goes down when the full-time position's added.
Yeah.
And I think right now, I got like 50,000 here, so to add
Yeah, but it doesn't go down when you, because you add that person, but if you're adding that person because you're increasing coverage, then that's just more coverage that you need to cover with other people's overtime.
Okay.
You know,
By creating a new, because what you're saying, I think, is that you create a new shift.
Yeah.
So now there's a shift vacancy, that's a shift that has to be filled.
Well, that's
So-
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, unless they would opt not to, but I mean, that's obviously one of the concerns with the fire department, adding these new positions and how that's all going to work out. So I mean, now if you have 3 new positions that those people, you know, in 2 years' time are going to have 4.7 weeks vacation a year, and then if you're going to be covering those positions at time and a half.
Right, it's all, and you know, it's another discussion, but it's how are those creating shifts, or are you creating a floater to cover shifts?
Yes,
You know,
yeah.
If you create shifts, yeah, you create more liability for overtime.
I mean, it was, when did we add a policeman, 2 years ago?
Yes.
Did we have a policeman last year? It was just 2 years.
Just 2 years.
2 years.
We've been in the, for 2018, right? We voted on the spring of 2018, for 9 months of 2018. So I mean, it's, you know, and obviously, you know, Paul can tell you his story, you know, I'm not saying a story, I mean, it's factual, but I mean, of the challenges that police departments have today, and I'm not saying that there aren't challenges, it just comes down to, you know, it's such an expensive position that when you add that, and you know, not to say that it isn't expensive when you add a highway worker too, but it's not $100 grand, and, you know, sometimes you just gotta make with what you've got and do the best job you can with the resources you have. But that answers my question about the $2 million police department.
Under 16, under this bottom section, we have a FEMA project that requires a 25% match. FEMA's willing to give us some money toward this project. We want to make sure that the taxpayers know how much they need to put into this. So the FEMA was willing to give us $104,721. We need to come up with $44,881. The cost of that is 0.074%. This is more of a mitigation project than it is a fix. This is to help mitigate future problems on Broomstick Road.
So is it flooding? Is it, what's going on?
There was some flooding there in 2017, and they've come up with some solutions to help
It's a
prevent that.
Gravel portion or the paved portion?
I can't answer that
I
because
believe that's gravel.
Gravel.
Yeah, and yeah, you explained this has already been a FEMA awarded project, so I think it's like there's a 70% match.
75%,
75%, and sometimes the state will come in and kick in another
20%.
20% to cover and the town will do 5%, but that's not a guarantee. And there's two different projects, you know all about it, Jim, from your work, but there's two
Yeah,
types
no,
of
it's
FEMA
just,
projects.
it's pretty good chunk of change.
Yeah.
I mean, to have road work done and to have 3/4 of it paid for,
Right. And
it's,
did Doug present it at the, I missed his.
no, he did not present any
We will have a
roads.
warrant article, like a special
Oh,
for
okay.
warrant articles where we'll present, if it makes it past the gauntlet of the select board.
So the Opera House riggings, again, we have to put this back on. And the estimate that we're getting now is about 30,000. Last time we talked about this, we were gonna try to use volunteers, but because of the liability involved in this and the possibility of it not being put up properly, we need to have some experts do it. There is 15,000 that's in fund balance that's available to use this. Under Opera House improvements, we want to continue on our small progress every year. So we do have a warrant article for 10,000 here. Transfer station at this time, 35,000. We talked about it again today. He was hoping to do 40. I need to look at his fund balance to see if he could do 40. The union contracts, we haven't got figures on yet. We have a River Commons land purchase warrant article. There's some offsetting funds for $116,670. The amount requested from the taxpayers would be $58,330. It's 0.097 per thousand.
And where a piece of land is with.
That's across the covered bridge, the Monroe parcel. Yeah, so this would be used in a 1-to-2 or 1-to-3 match. The River District Commission put it forward at the last meeting.
And does this address all the land purchase, or this just one part of it?
No, this would be to purchase the entire lot. Still, there's a gap in the funding, but I've had several individuals approach me who are willing to make a substantial donation, $100,000 to $200,000 towards it. So this would be the gap that's needed to secure it and get some of the project completed.
And this does all the land that we're gonna need, or is there any potential additional acquisition?
Agreeing with the DOT lot, but this is a Moreau.
Okay, so I mean,
Yeah,
but this,
if we were able to successfully get other additional non-local dollars, I'm hoping that we can word the warrant article where we could use it in other parking areas, like for example, the building terrace lot or other areas that need improvements.
okay. And we're still talking to the state about their,
Yeah.
Because that was a dog park
I met with,
discussion, right?
Yeah, I met with Commissioner Sheehan and somebody from the governor's office, maybe 2 months ago about it. And, you know, one of the things that we spoke about was the DOT's need for lots where they can put material, and the material's not necessarily polluted, but it fits a certain class. Materials that come out of the right of way. I don't know, you probably know the term.
Yeah, it's called limited reuse soil, so. that's why- Limited reuse.
reuse.
Yeah, so you don't want to give it away and then have somebody use it in the garden as sand.
But if you use it in a road base or
Right.
something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so.
And so
It's
that.
happening statewide.
Yeah.
It's not just,
So it's like that lot is an example of a place that they have it and it's been used for that sort of thing in the past. So, you know, it has a certain value to them, but we're still
well,
still pushing for that.
there's asphalt millings which are took off road projects, so it's storage. It's my understanding.
And so Assistant Commissioner Cass has said if we show alternative places that we can do a land swap, they'd be interested. And so we showed them, I think at least one or two, and both, you know, it made sense why it didn't work for them. So we're still, you know, trying to find something. And at the Plan New Hampshire Design Charrette, the engineers, when they reviewed that lot, one of the things that they showed was that the lot itself has, because of the location, has high value for development. So for a private development, they're saying, you know, for example, it would be a nice spot for some condos to go in.
So Conservation Commission, we always have this unexpended balance that they have, they put into their funds, got $100. There's no impact on taxes. We have 2 road projects and those items are going to be decisions of the selectmen, which one we end up doing, or both. I doubt both, but. Town office safety improvements. The improvements there have to do with the walls and the safety glass of the clerk, town clerk, and admin office entryway. And an estimate we received just for the glass is $18,000. We had a warrant article for 5. We still have that. There's no way of getting it covered that high to do what we need to do. So we are looking at other things. We've even looked at grants. It's pretty hard to do a grant on a piece of a building that is actually owned by someone else that we're leasing.
Leasehold improvements.
So under Public Works, Public Works, Fire Department, and Police Department, we're looking to start setting up a capital reserve fund. And the 5,000 may be a high number. Maybe we'll start with 1,000 to put in each account to get them opened and started, and down the road, maybe put additional funds in. But this is something that could be used to eventually replace equipment. This is not a big hit all at once, or something that could be used for a grant match. One of the examples is the fire truck. You know, we have been trying to get a grant for a fire truck, and we've held 25,000 for that. That ended up having to be folded into fund balance because we've held it for 2 years and haven't got the grant. So the selectmen have approved authorizing the expenditure of 25,000 match if we do get the grant. We're reapplying in December. So this would be something that we could start doing things like that, where if we have the opportunity to purchase a large piece of equipment and get some grant to help pay for it, we might have some monies available to do that.
So one question on these, are these voter approved?
These will have to
expenditures?
be voter approved.
So it's, once it goes in, it stays in.
Well, it's
the
voters approved to go in,
Yeah. But
and we
it's-
could have a choice a choice on the warrant article to either have the selectmen authorized to withdraw
Yeah,
or the voters. The good part about having the selectmen have the authorization, if something comes along halfway through the year, we're not waiting 9 months and maybe taking a chance of losing out on
I understand.
those funds. Where if we wait for voter approval, we have to wait till March every year.
So I guess some of my thoughts were on the capital reserve funds were to provide the money so that the warrant articles don't spike the tax rate here and there, and then have the voters approve the expenditure from it year to year. So you still have a warrant article, would just be pulling out of the capital reserve fund instead of raising, taxes for it.
Well, that's kind of
So
what
you-
you were when you were talking with me about having the voter approval
Yeah,
to pull it out,
yeah,
that has to wait till March
yeah.
every
but,
year.
Okay. So I can understand needing access for match money because you don't know when these applications are coming along. But an expenditure for a large piece of equipment, most of it's over 50,000, we're going to the voters with anyway. So I guess my suggestion would be to have the voters expend from these funds if they approve them. And that if you need match money, I think we have line items for match money in the operating budget.
But also to start establishing this.
I understand that.
Maybe start putting some funds away,
Yeah.
so when we need something, we are able to have some funds built up, so it's not hitting us all at once.
Right. And I guess, I think some of the voters that I spoke to would feel more comfortable with their ability to allow the expenditures instead of maybe missing the selectmen's meeting where that was presented and money was expended from. So just a voter confidence until they're ready to say, yeah, let's let the selectmen handle these larger purchases. Just a
And
thought.
I'll pass that along to the selectmen.
Yeah,
So we flip it over, page 32. We put a placeholder in here of $1,000 for the police department expendable trust fund. This was one that was established last year for the part-time or police training cost. And for now, we put $1,000 in there, but there's no tax impact. It's whatever's left of a certain line in the budget for the police department. Under number 33, we have library building improvement. There, after our grant that's going to need some match money, and they want to put $15,000 into a capital reserve account. They currently have $30,000. They need about $45,000 for their match.
We haven't heard from them, right? Did they?
Yeah, we did.
Oh, we did, I wasn't
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, I think she did last time?
Yeah, last time,
last week.
That's Megan gave them,
Yes.
And
does she have anybody with her, or?
She had quite a few of the trustees that were here.
So I know they've been working on coming up with a building plan,
yeah,
instead of the old format of just asking for a new boiler every year. If you're actually coming up, you say that only have to.
yeah, I don't remember that.
Huh?
Yeah, I think I remember that, a few years of that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. That was under the prior administration, but this time they were trying to, I mean, I know as far as replacing some windows, and they actually have a plan. There's always work needs to be done, but they have a plan that just asks for a new boiler and then God knows where the money was
Yeah, I
gonna
think
go.
so they use a historical architect, I don't know if that's the right term.
Yeah.
And they come through and created basically a CIP for the building. And I think we have a draft of that, we were gonna put it on the website, so that the voters could see that too. But they're going, and then they're gonna go through and systematically.
Okay,
you know,
so they've got an established plan, which they were working on, and obviously with the new leadership there, you certainly felt that that was gonna happen, so that's good.
One other, it's kind of a housekeeping type warrant article, and it's not a definite it's going to go through or not. We have discontinued the Opera House Commissioners. And there's been some discussion on this. The plan is to have a group called the Friends of the Opera House. Now that it's been under town management, there's been a lot of things that are done, and the manager's taking a lot of, doing a lot of things the commissioners were involved with.
I found two different organizations, and this is coming from, Sue is kind of trying to figure out a way to change things up a little bit, is where this comes from. But I'm reading about two different opera house groups that were created. One initially was to oversee, I think, reconstruction or preservation of the building a long time ago. And then it looked like there was another one, and that one, if I remember right, it's been a while since I read it, it looked like there was charge over the venue.
I think it was charge of the venues when I remember, I mean, I'm not sure about the older one, that might
It
have.
was a committee,
Yeah.
to oversee when the building was being renovated. I've got some old documents, but I think the goal is to create a new group, maybe that acts more like, maybe like the Parks and Recreation Commissioners, or maybe like the trustees of the library, like a overseer group, but
Yeah,
local.
there was a committee put together that came up with a proposal to rebuild the Opera House. And then it had a proposal, that's the one that got 58% or whatever vote, but needed 60% to pass.
Wow.
If we'd had that, the police department would still be in this building. And so there was that group, and then just after the Opera House was rehabbed, after the $1.5 million that we got, which ended up being a pretty good deal. The original project was a $3 million project, so so for the $1.5 million that we ended up getting 80% of it done or whatever, it was a pretty good deal. So
That's probably the other committee I was reading about then.
I mean, but in theory, that second one would be the one that would be actually operating the Opera House, right, today.
Yeah, and so instead of like an operation group, they have a overseer group.
Article 35, and these article numbers may change. The Chamber of Commerce beautification, we haven't received their petition yet. We have received their request for funds, and the numbers may change on this. We also have the Chamber of Commerce event. I believe we're going to end up with one petition instead of two from this.
So instead of having
Thank you.
beautification and, what was it, piano?
Well, the event appropriation was more for a couple little events. The beautification was flowers, piano,
Oh, okay.
and it was a group of items.
And I think the chamber is working with, maybe it's Main Street Inc. to see if they would take over the piano program. And then we're working with the chamber and looking at, for example, the Christmas parade and having that come underneath Parks and Recreation. Because I think really some of the costs that's associated with that is with insurance. And we're already here. And there's a volunteer who really organizes the whole thing. So that was one of the events that we feel tonight.
So the other petition, normal petition warrant articles, which I haven't received, or we haven't received the petitions for, we have received some applications, is Grafton County. Their number is exactly the same as last year at this point. Boys and girls the same, Birch House, North Country Home Health and Hospice, Northern Human Services, Tri-County Homeless Intervention, Tri-County Community Transit, Tri-County Community Action Home Heating Program, Above the Notch Humane Society, Amanuset Community Health Services, Caleb Caregivers, Pathways Pregnancy Center, and Mount Washington Regional Airport. And there's one on here that has contacted me, but hasn't sent anything yet. It's a brand new group. They have something to do with the veterans.
That too bad?
No, it's some Beechwood, I think it's called. It's out of Lebanon area. And I told them, I've sent them the application, the documentation that they need to give me. I've asked them to come up with a number of veterans that they may have helped in the area. I said all of this information is going to be very important. So
Waiting.
I don't keep reminding them.
Well, no,
You know, if they're interested in getting these funds, they need to come forth.
And the select board determined that Mount Washington Regional Airport isn't going to be a petitioned article. That will be moved up to just a proposed article. They're not going to be petitioning, they're waiting for the warrant.
So it'd just be selectmen sponsored, that's what you're saying?
Yeah, just to give the voters another chance to vote. And I've met with the airport commission. I think if the voters voted down 2 years in a row, then that's when our membership would be, we'd be basically pushed out of the airport as a member of it.
I think the trouble with that one is just like the average taxpayer just doesn't use the airport. It doesn't know anybody that uses it, so.
Have they got, do you know, are they going to come and do a presentation to us?
Yeah, I believe so, yes. Yeah.
I've given them some dates, but they have not responded. So I'm gonna send them over, because one of the dates was the one that got switched. So I'm gonna ask if that date works. And if it doesn't, I'm gonna refer them to Diane to set up a time and a date to come. This overview on the bottom part does not include any big trucks, financing of big trucks on it. So you can either ignore it or we can discuss it. It gives you a rough estimate of what the estimated default budget would cost with all warrant articles.
But this includes both road projects, for example, is that correct?
Yes.
So that's a $500,000
Yeah.
that you take off.
And of course, we still haven't made all determinations on warrant articles. Something could come up that would bring a warrant article forward.
So that warrant article for the public works, I'm guessing it's selectmen sponsored for that equipment replacement bond? There's like
Yes.
1.4 million.
What we're looking, and we gave them 3 scenarios. Yesterday, they want to really look at them
So they would
and
basically.
absorb
This
them.
is just a placeholder then?
Yeah, this is just placeholder. So right now, we, just like, I think you guys have seen 3 different proposals for
1 year,
replacement. But then there's
2 years,
also
3 years.
different financing options too. Do you purchase them all at once, you're gonna purchase them cash, or you wanna finance them out? And so, one of the proposals that we showed them was a financing package where you don't pay anything next year, and then you got a little bit on the next, and a little more on the next year. And what that would do is cycle it in as the the Moore Dam debt is peeling off. So there would be zero additional impact on taxpayers, and leave some capacity of the savings from the Moore Dam debt being paid off for other things, school or whatever.
And we don't know, what do we guesstimate our tax rate number?
I'm glad you asked that, because I almost forgot. So we've been talking about the DRA a good bit, as you can imagine.
Yeah.
And they did issue us preliminary tax rate.
Yeah.
Without the select board adding anything to it, it came out at 23.25. And the select board has met to discuss the tax rate. There's still a question about the allocation, you know, and we're talking with the director. There's a new director who's been there for 6 months, and so he's working with his legal team to just see between the school and the town allocation.
So now we're down to 13 cents?
Well, so the select board has looked at and agreed to keep the tax rate at 23.10. So what they're doing.
Which is 2 cents less than last year?
Same,
Wow.
probably the same. Or if it was 23, wait. I thought we're 23.12. They said
2310 is what we were last year.
1156 is what the bill was for the first half of the year.
So there would be another 11.
So that's 2312.
Yeah, oh, really? So then it would have to be 1154. Right. Because we're fixing it 2310.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we changed the format, but we used to bill at the same rate.
Yeah, so you're supposed to take half, right?
Well, our first tax bill of the year used to be the exact same tax bill as the December one.
That's right.
From the previous year, that's what we used to do.
That's what I thought we did.
Yeah, but we're doing it different now because it used to used to show the rates as being the same rate as last year.
And
Now we're showing the rate at half rate.
What was the tax rate prior to last year? 20.
It was 2310
But then
last
the one
year.
before was 2580, I think. Is that right?
I don't remember.
I think it was. So
That's asking a lot.
So, I think it's just coincidence that that's it there. It doesn't so close because this is supposed to be based on the last year's. So if we were at 2580 and we collected that for the first half of the year, that means we collected more, and then when we got to 2310, it would have been a little bit less because you're making a difference.
So we have to bring the previous tax bill for
Yeah.
Jennifer to do.
Yeah, and so it's all.
I
clear.
do know she
There's money.
has a different program,
Yeah.
a tax program, and I don't know.
Well, I know, and I've seen on tax bills we get from other towns, I've seen it like this before, but we did not always used to do it. The rate part used to show the actual last year's rate, is what it used to show. So anyway, well, regardless, but anyway, so obviously, whatever we're at, we're way different than what maybe we were thinking at one point in time.
Yeah, so that's good, and we're working on, for hopefully for next year, adding more value to the base of
New property.
new
taxable property, that's right, not enhanced value of existing.
Well, maybe some of that too.
Well, yeah, but only where it's fair. I mean, and you see in Berlin what they had to do to keep the tax rate under $40.
Yeah.
They took $1 million out of their rainy day fund. I think, don't quote me exactly, but I think they had 1.8 million in the rainy day fund, and they took out $1 million to keep it under $40.
Wow.
39.82 or something.
That's not sustainable. Yeah, that's a tough spot for Berlin.
Yeah, it is, but that's just, on the 6:30 WLTN news, you have to wake up.
You own property up there?
And yes, actually, although not, it's a piece of current use land on the Androscoggin River, so no, it's not highly impacted by it, but it would scare you out there.
Yeah.
But anyway, but it's, the challenges in that town, my God. I think they got Mike Kelly as principal, because they're gonna need him.
Oh, boy. Well, since there's less, I think that.
But not without working at it.
Absolutely. Yeah, so you guys have put it in the long, hard game, I think.
I have a question. Any LADC doing anything? Any more articles from them? Or?
I haven't seen anything, that's one.
That was last year.
That was last year.
Push
I know that there's been.
do some development.
The grant application came through and I believe was awarded, where we used the donation of the land as a match. And really, I have in my notes here too about our warrant articles. We have 2 road projects, and so really I wanted to spend time And that with LIDC, so if the industrial park was gonna move forward with the project and we were gonna put $500,000 into the road, then looking at ways to leverage that investment into match funding for other. And the same thing with the other road project is Riverside and South. And so those are, they're full road projects, and like the full complete streets road rebuild. And so if we're gonna do that, I also wanna try to look at ways to leverage that $500,000 for other money.
And I just have two questions, and maybe it's a Karen question. So the user rates for the sewer, that's the way the taxpayers have a say in, what they are is when they approve the operating budget, right? So there's default to propose, so that's what they have. So,
We're looking.
I mean, because a lot of times you have the funds and
Right.
the special revenue funds, and they're offsetting and things like that. I understand that portion, but the sewer portion, it just seems to be carried in the budget. And I've never seen a warrant article or anything, but I just
No.
wanted to clear that up in my head.
And I would
That's
say,
the truth.
I would say it's the opposite though. The budget's been carrying the sewer, and it's been doing it for a long time. In that we've been slowly putting back the costs where they're where
We're
they
not
are.
spending
Yeah.
time, we're spending
Yeah.
time.
And we're looking at different ways to actually try to get that down. Some of the increases, due to the debt that's incurred from the sub area 5, and sub area 2 isn't impacting it. We did remove $20,000 in there because we had anticipated we'd be moving forward with sub area 2 project,
Yeah.
but we're not this year. We have to go after additional funds.
We did remove 5,000.
So, we're also looking at, just thinking if there's other ways to try to soften the.
Well, it's just more, I was just curious how that was brought in, and,
One other calculation
Oh, yeah.
that's in that I need to get a little clarification on before I can make that adjustment is, are we receiving our monies back from the principal portion that we're supposed to have forgiveness on? Are we going to receive that on a yearly basis so that I can deduct it from that bond payment?
Yeah, what she's talking about is 12.5% of the Clean Water State Revolving Loan Fund loan is supposed to be done. It's not called a grant, it's called loan forgiveness, and you're probably aware of. And so what we're trying to figure out is that loan forgiveness payment done in increments, like throughout the year, like we get 12.5% a year, or is it 12.5% at the final payment? When do we get it?
So that will reduce the budget the sewer budget, if we get that on a yearly basis. That will offset some of the principal payment on that.
okay. And one final question, that's it for me. In the warrant article table, there's offsetting funds, and I'm assuming most of them come from the budget itself. And you don't have to go back through them.
Okay.
Because I know some of them are matching,
Do you have a particular one?
well, I'm just looking at, I first looked at the Public Works one, and it was exact, so I'm assuming that's like, I don't
Until we
where
know
that-
what the selectmen want to do.
Okay, so there is no really offsetting.
It would be bond funds the first year.
Okay. And then like getting down into like the EMS, number 13, the 297,000, I'm assuming that's like either revenue or,
That is a lease, and the full payment isn't due, because the lease amount was $380,000.
okay,
So we're only paying $82,754. But I'm showing so that this doesn't show the full amount
You should get
of the
actual
lease.
impact on tax, so that would be the impact every year.
So it's not really
so
offsetting.
it's not really
funds
offsetting.
Right.
In a conventional fashion.
Okay, all right.
But in order to show the voters the entire amount. And then another thing about that one, so that 82,754 is included in that EMS proposed total budget that we showed before, the 245,000. So that includes this ambulance payment in there.
Okay. So maybe I'll ask the easier question.
Which one of the two is gonna disappear?
Are there,
Right, so getting through the 2-4-year war,
If this warrant article passes, then it disappears
out
out of the budget.
Yeah. And, yeah, same thing with the EMS revolving, or the EMS operating budget in Article 11. So if that passes, that, with the proposed budget, removes that out of the.
Line number 12.
Yeah, so 12 and, number 12 and 13 both have corresponding reductions in the proposed operating budget. I'm saying it right.
He had a question still.
well, and I said no more, so. Is it, when I see offsetting, I think of like match funds or something like that. So are there any warrant articles where we have that? I guess that's the
Match
Simpler
funds
question to
from us?
other
or
resources
other
outside of
resources?
taxation.
Well, the broomstick road
Yep, the FEMA.
is one project. There's one in here for River District and downtown parking improvements.
So that comes out of the parking fund or?
No, that will, the 116,000
Yeah.
is part of some grant and some donations
Okay.
the town manager talked about.
Wait, no, so that's, yeah, if you were gonna, if we were doing it that way, then you would see $1 million, basically like an $800,000 project, and you'd see that is, I think what you or Seal have done there, is that's the payment, the bond payment.
Oh,
Yeah,
Okay.
You
okay,
can correct
I
me if
guess
I'm but
I'm not sure which, I'm talking about 24.
no, I thought you were talking about. Oh yeah, 24. Yep.
Yeah, maybe I looked too far down the rabbit hole, but when I saw offsetting, I was thinking, well, geez,
Yeah.
you know,
The articles themselves.
we're being offset, like some of these almost exactly. I said, well, the money has to.
Well, like in the transfer station, that's money that
Yeah.
they've actually set aside over the years from revenue that is not, that they're gonna take out of their reserve fund, that's
Yes.
actually gonna go to the purchase.
Yeah, and yeah, another one is like Opera House rigging, so there's 15,000.
That's encumbered from.
That's, yes, coming in from that.
Okay.
Almost, Robbie, should be, maybe we should put an asterisk that's next to the ones that are, one way or the other, either an asterisk for the ones that are actually,
Lease or debt versus actual cash coming in.
Yeah.
Or color code them.
well,
It was for
the asterisk might be easier.
readability. I just thought I was more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So we have a meeting not next Tuesday, but next Thursday, because the meeting got changed.
I think that's right.
Yeah,
And I'm gonna see if I can get any of the groups that are gonna have changes, because my understanding is the budget committee wanted to see any of the groups that were new or had changes in the amounts they wanted
On the petition one.
on the petition warrant articles, and also see the airport. So I'll see what I can do about getting some of
that's all
that.
you can do.
The next meeting is gonna
And
be.
we have a meeting with the school board next Wednesday, is that right?
Yeah, I believe that's right.
Because we changed this.
Yeah, so that's gonna be in 12-4.
And that's at the SAU office.
Yeah, and is that right? Ian?
Yeah, that's what the last meeting, or the last meeting was
And 12-5 for us.
right here.
I need to go. I have
Yeah,
a
sorry.
rider that
You want to
sharing
go here?
a ride with.
Are we all set for the next time? Okay. Thank you all very much. Thank you.
Thank you.